So you got to do the same thing over and over and over again until it actually clicks. And it seems really exhausting to do this. And many of us actually kind of give up with the notion that you have to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Um, but that's really what it is to accomplish something that is important in your life. So you see, when the first time you actually do something, um, it's not going to be great. And the 100th time that you do the same thing, it's still not going to be that good. But if you do it 1,000, 10,000 times, you do get a little better at what you're trying to do. And it's not perfect, but it does get a little better. And I want to actually talk about that and how important it is to do these things day in and day out. And it feels very minor to do these things. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. Much of my day is spent writing. So I spend a little bit of time in the morning and then, in the car ride, I guess, at this moment, doing stuff for the Reciprocity Project, and then evenings and weekends and stuff to do that. But most of my day is spent writing. And that was sort of the impetus of actually the Reciprocity Project was like, can we actually do this and make this a little easier and have a platform that will make us do research a little easier. But, the thing is with it, and the thing is with my day, is I spend every day, I've spent it every day probably for the last 20 years of my life, especially from grad school on, where I write. And I sit down and I write, and often I'll write 10 pages. But when I write those 10 pages, and it's probably right around that amount, and it feels like it's just painful when I'm doing it. And as I write those 10 pages every day, I have to throw out almost all of that the next time that I actually write it, or I have to revise most of it. And this is the nature of the process. And there is a lot of boringness to this, where you go in and you do the same thing every day, and you write, you read a little bit, you write a little bit. And I think that is pretty normal for most people with the things that you're working on, whether you're working in spreadsheets, you're an analyst, or whatever. Maybe you're having meetings and it's the same meetings with the same people every day. But, the goal with what you're trying to do is taking little bits going forward and taking little steps going forward. It's not about every time that you do something that you're going to have this sort of massive breakthrough and things are going to change. And all of a sudden, everything is fundamentally different, your performance increases and all that kind of stuff. It's not what happens. It's you do something and you have such minor change that you don't even notice it. And then the next day you do it and you try to build on that little minor change, and you keep doing that regularly, where it's just such tiny little changes. It seems like every day it's the same thing. It really does. But what is happening is that you're slowly changing and slowly developing, sometimes for the worse, sometimes it gets worse, and sometimes it gets better with what you're working on and doing. And one would hope over the long run that it's gradually getting better. But to keep in mind when you're doing this, remember that it's a long-term thing, and it's slow, it's tedious, it does not happen overnight. And if I can get you to think about that, that this is going to take for a very long time, and it's going to seem very tedious and very kind of monotonous, but you're actually doing really cool things by doing that. And you look back and you start thinking like, man, I actually did a lot, and I've actually improved a lot. Not the best at something that I'm doing, but I've improved. And that's all that really matters. So then I want to leave it there is no, it's going to be just a slog, a methodical, boring, tedious slog. But at the same time, you're accomplishing things that get you to where you want to go. And as you're doing those things every day, there's little minor changes that you don't even notice that allow you to get a little better and allow you to see the world in a different perspective. So get going, do some cool things, and know it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but you just got to keep doing it every day until it actually happens. So leave me a comment if you like this. Take care and have a wonderful day.